Hello, I'm the 10-minute English teacher. Let's get you exam ready. Today we're thinking about A Christmas Carol and I'm going to be providing you with final tips for the exam. Before we get going, don't forget to like and subscribe. There are plenty of things on the channel to help you with the other texts you're studying and with English language. Okay, final tips for the exam, A Christmas Carol. So we're going to start with thinking about an introduction to the essay. We're going to have about 50 minutes to write that in the exam. You might want a paragraph at the beginning. If you do, you can start by thinking about Charles Dickens and his life before we really start answering the question. So what we're going to do is talk about the fact that his parents went to Marshalsea debtors prison. There's an image of that there. They couldn't pay their creditor and that influenced his writing. He also ended up working in a blacking factory and for a time discontinued his education at school because of his parents' debt. That influenced him as a writer. There's a picture of some of his books, and then we simply need to link that to the question. So far we can keep all this information in one paragraph, and then we link that to the question. So here's an example of what that might sound like if the question was charity. So Charles Dickens was writing to try and change the attitudes of the Victorian middle classes. As a child, his parents were sent to Marshalsea debtors prison because of their debts, and he ended up working in a blacking factory. As an adult, his experiences in childhood influenced his writing, and that's why charity is such an important theme in the novel. He believed that people should be more caring to those less fortunate than them in society. That's an example of a perfect paragraph to open my response with. My second bit of advice for you before you go into the exam is think about the extract. The examiner has chosen a particular page of the book for you to use because they're expecting you to have loads of information about the key moments, but they're testing you on your understanding of a specific extract as well. That needs to form a part of your response. So I would suggest that you use about 2 paragraphs maybe where you're choosing a couple of key quotes from that extract to include in your response. I would definitely recommend using Stave 1 in your response. In front of you now are 8 key images for Stave 1. The reason why it's so great is because we get all of the key characters and the plot established, and there are loads of great quotes. At the beginning, Scrooge is described to be as solitary as an oyster. We meet Fred, who says that Christmas is a good time, a kind, forgiving, pleasant time. The charity collectors turn up and Scrooge says, "Are there no prisons?" We've got the relationship between Bob Cratchit and Scrooge established. Scrooge goes home to his dark house, and then we've got the visit of Jacob Marley, who says that he wears the chains he forged in life. And then we've got Scrooge falling to sleep to await the visits of the ghost. There are loads of great key moments and loads of themes established in that first chapter. It's definitely one knowing well, and you can have a look at the video that's on the channel for Stave 1 if you want to revise that further. Another thing that you could do is explore this concept, which is top band, the binary opposition between darkness versus light. I'll take you through that now. So darkness and light are 2 opposing symbols in the novel. For darkness, this turns up in many places. We've got the counting house, which is very dimly lit. We've got the falling darkness in Stave 1 as nighttime draws. We've got Scrooge's home. Darkness is cheap and Scrooge liked it. The visit of Jacob Marley's ghost comes at night. We've got the darkness that Scrooge's name casts on the Cratchits, and the ghost of Christmas yet to come is also associated with darkness. So darkness is a reoccurring motif throughout the novel. We've also got light, which is in opposition to darkness. They're both at odds with each other in this binary opposition. And as a reader, we're hoping that light will win. And of course it does. The ghost of Christmas past is associated with light. Light comes from Fezziwig's calves while he dances. The ghost of Christmas present is also associated with light. It comes from his torch, and also light comes from underneath the door before Scrooge meets that ghost. Fred's home is warmly lit, and as well as that, at the end of the novel, it's a very bright day when Scrooge awakes. So darkness and light are in opposition with each other in the novel. If you want to sound really clever, these are the things that darkness and light symbolise. So darkness symbolises misery, suffering, loneliness, consequence in the afterlife, punishment, selfishness and greed. And light is something that we can associate with redemption, Christmas, charity, family, happiness, kindness and responsibility. If you're given a question about a theme, the likelihood is it's right there in front of you, and that gives you loads to talk about. Another thing that I expect you to do is get the key word from the question into every paragraph. You're not just being asked to show your understanding of the story and walk us through it. You're meant to be choosing key moments that relate to the thing that you're asked about. So if you're being asked about charity, make sure that word charity is in every single paragraph that you write about. Remember that every message for Scrooge is also a message for the middle-class Victorian readers. It's not just about Scrooge changing. Dickens wants us to change too. So think about the ghosts having a message for Scrooge. It's also a message for his readers. And here are those ghosts. We've got Jacob Marley's ghost, the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas future. Each one of them has got a slightly different message. So the first ghost, Jacob Marley's ghost, reminds Scrooge that if he doesn't change the way he lives his life, he will face consequences in the afterlife. That's a message for the reader too. Then we've got the ghost of Christmas past, who shows Scrooge his younger self in his employment to Fezziwig, and we see Belle, who is happy. And the message to Scrooge is, if you change and you care about others and family, you are likely to be happier. Important message for the reader. Then we've got the ghost of Christmas present. He has the same message because he's happy, he's a jolly giant, but as well as that, he takes us to the Cratchit's house and we see that Tiny Tim will die, and that is something that reminds us that it's actually right to change. It is moral to be kinder to others. And then if we still haven't changed, or if Scrooge hasn't at that point, the ghost of Christmas future is there to reiterate the message that Jacob Marley had at the beginning, that you will face consequences in the afterlife if you do not change the way that you live your life, if you are selfish and led by wealth and gain. Another thing you need to do is say more than just the obvious about the quotes you use. Remember, your examiner is going to be marking hundreds of papers and they're going to be hearing the same basic things over and over again to try and take it further. Here's an example of a quote that they will be coming across several times. Scrooge is as solitary as an oyster, and everybody is going to say that oysters have pearls inside them, and that could reflect the idea that there's something precious or something good inside of Scrooge. If you want to take it further, you can talk about the idea that this is associating loneliness with wealth. So Dickens is trying to disassociate those two things to make us realise that actually the route to happiness isn't through gain. The other thing you could say is that we associate oysters with darkness, and that gives you an opportunity to talk about the binary opposition of darkness versus light. Remember, the average 9 uses around 9 quotes. If you've used 20 quotes, you won't have got a 9, the likelihood is. If you say Scrooge, who is known for saying bar humbug and has red eyes and is a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone and also has a grating voice, is someone we're introduced to in chapter 1, you might be throwing a load of quotes at your reader, but you're not really being analytical. So the average 9 uses around 9 quotes. Remember that. You want to say really sophisticated things like I just showed you in regards to that quote about the oyster. Make sure you're saying complex things and sharing some sophisticated ideas rather than just showing off how many quotes you know. It's not testing you on that. It's testing you on how well you can write an essay exploring the theme in the question. Another thing that you could do to finish off is conclude. You don't strictly need to write a conclusion, but here's an idea if you want to, and you've got 5 minutes at the end that will give you that opportunity to say something sophisticated about Dickens and the novel. Here's a picture of Great Expectations. When it was published in full, it came out in 3 separate books for you to buy. And in Great Expectations, the changes that Pip undergo take place over a span of decades. It takes a long time to read the book, and the changes that the character undergo take a long time to achieve. Now, Great Expectations is very different to A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol can be read in one day. It's a short novella. There's only 5 chapters, and all of the changes that Scrooge undergo take place in one day. So you can read the novel in one day, and the changes that Scrooge take place in one day. Now, all you need to then do to make sure that you're actually linking that to the question and getting the points is make sure that you get the key word from the question into your conclusion. So that's what this can look like if we're talking about the theme of charity. So Dickens used to write very long epic novels, and the changes that the characters would undergo would sometimes span decades, as is the case in Great Expectations. In A Christmas Carol, it can be read by the reader in one day, and the changes that Scrooge undergo are also achieved in a day. And the message is very clear. If we are more charitable, then the world can change instantly. So that's how I might conclude if I was in the exam. If you want to take it further and you've got the time to, you could watch this video back and you do the talking. Be the teacher and teach yourself. Check out 25 quotes to know without looking for A Christmas Carol, and that will arm you with a reminder of all of the quotes that you might need to know for the exam. Check out my guide to the entire novel to revise those key moments, and there are also summary guides to each stave. But if you're pressed for time, why not check out my guide to stave 1? Okay, check out the other videos on my channel. I'll continue to add content. Feel free to ask something you'd like to see me cover in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and keep revising.